Hey, hello. Welcome to Couchcasters Podcast. It is Monday, March the 10th, 2025. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Good evening. Roll Tide as always.
As always. As always. Well, so regular season's wrapped up. We finished third place in the SEC with, 13-5?
Yes.
In the league.
13
It's
and 5
amazing.
in conference
13-5 in the SEC and finished third. That's impressive. I mean, what a
Yeah.
league.
Then you look at
A heck of a conference in terms of competition.
No kidding.
yes. I mean, when 14 out of 16 teams have a chance of making the big dance,
I mean,
pretty strong.
there's something to it. There's something to that.
But now you have the new number one team in the nation being Duke, and everyone's like, how many ranked teams have they played? And everyone's like, oh, they beat Auburn head to head. Okay, that's one.
Yeah,
Where
I
are
don't
the others?
understand that.
I don't think they need to be one. I mean, I saw no reason for Auburn to even move.
Yeah, to be honest.
I really don't.
I didn't
and that's
either.
coming from a Bama fan. I'm like, they lost
They
in
lost in
overtime at the last
overtime.
second shot.
It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. They've been the best team in the SEC all season, and then they lose a couple games at the end of the year. That's not enough to bump them all the way down to third.
No.
yeah.
What? Third?
Yeah, they gotta make people happy. You gotta make the old blood, the Duke Blue Devils. Gotta make them one. Gotta make their fans happy. You know?
Man.
Oh, we were ranked one again. However many years we've been ranked one, at least one time. Yeah, good job against North Carolina, by the way. They look like they really had a pulse in that game.
Yeah.
Flag was in foul trouble the majority of the game. He didn't even play the majority of the first half. So,
Oh, really?
and yeah, he had like 3 fouls in the first half. I was like, yeah, I mean, they might have a chance here, and they still beat him by like 25. It's like something. I'm probably exaggerating, but it was more than 15.
I can't remember what the final. What 82-69, something like that.
Wasn't good.
Yeah,
Wasn't good.
something like that.
And everybody's like, oh, North Carolina, they may be a tournament team. No.
Well, they are
You
what,
have-
20-11, 21-12, or 20-12, something like that.
Yeah.
They'll have 3 teams make it from the ACC in the tournament, but I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Who's the third?
It's going to be up in the air. I mean, that was just from what I was hearing earlier. I mean, obviously Duke would be the one going.
Pretty
in
sure
there,
North Carolina is getting in. They're 20 and they've got 20
Yeah.
wins. They're
Yeah.
not going to not put the Tar Heels in a tournament
Had
with
a
20
little bit
wins.
of a rough half, but
Yeah.
still-
I mean, they're not ranked, which that's not a big deal.
aren't they the first ones out? I think.
Are they?
So
They might
far,
be one of the
as of
first
right
group
now,
out.
they're the first ones
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could all change.
Yeah, especially in basketball. But man, what a heck of a game! I went in with zero expectations, and about every 5 minutes, like, all right, this Auburn just puts an end to this. This was fun, but that's it. And then, to our credit, we wouldn't go down. Neither would they. Thanks to turnovers.
No,
That's
they
true.
just kept doing what they used to do. And I was just like, every time we'd come up with a big play, swing momentum, they'd come in and put a dagger 3 right in our hearts. And I'm like, how many times we're going to keep doing this? Why does this keep happening?
Yeah. I don't. That was I mean, to not get much from Sears either till the very end, but you had
Yeah.
no turnovers. That might be more important of a stat than scoring 30 points. In fact, only had 9 points.
He had
NATO's
4
learned to use some
points at the
timeouts,
half.
though. Man, it took them until 2 minutes left to do it. But I love NATO's, but that is my biggest pet peeve is that he'll
Yeah.
just cash in all of his timeouts and just not use any of it.
Well, yeah, Saban would do that all the time. He would try
I know, exactly.
halftime
Thank
with
you.
2 timeouts.
Oh my
And I'm like,
gosh, I
you
was
let-
just
you
thinking
let-
about this.
90 seconds run off the clock at the end of the half. You could have run 5 plays and kicked a field goal, but he's like, lets the clock run out and rots in the locker room, shots in the locker room with 2 timeouts.
It's
really
a little
grinds
more
my
egregious,
gears.
I feel like
That right there.
with Nate because
This is a good question. Sorry, Hunter, didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
no. it's a little more egregious, I feel like, because I do agree with Nick. Nick used to do that too, and it would drive me up the wall, especially for first half. It's just free timeouts. Just use it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Get the bank.
Like like we're kicking off to start second half. At least try to get a point.
Yeah, but with Nate, it's like we'll get a 10, 15-point lead and then have it chewed up in an instant. And it's like, dude, just kill the momentum right there.
Yeah. San Diego State was the worst example I've ever seen of that.
Oh my
I
God.
knew you were about to bring that up, Jeff. I was just thinking about that because I was like, I remember Jeff talking about how they go on like a 12-0, 14-0 run, and Nate still doesn't take a timeout.
More than that. We were up 9, and then when he finally called a timeout, we were down like 11 or something like that, or 12. I mean, it was just like a 21-2 run or something.
Yeah.
And, never called a timeout. And then, but what's funny is we hit like a 3 and went up 9, and the San Diego State coach called a timeout immediately and changed the whole momentum of the game. And we went into pooper after that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you just watched the guy use a timeout like you're supposed to. You just saw him do it.
And then more recently with Tennessee, we had what, like 3 timeouts in the bank? And it's like, nope, let's just let Tennessee just
to his credit, he owned that at the end. He in the press conference, he was like, that's totally my fault, which he had to because it was. So although Phylon should have called a timeout too. He can't be standing there, freshman or no. You got to know 5 seconds inbounds. I mean, that's from Little League ball.
Well, sometimes some days I question. I think some days we are playing little league ball. Some days, and then other days I'm like, wow, we're playing pretty efficient. 1 second.
I mean, they played tough Saturday. I mean, they played tough. Broom had his way, but I mean that was a tough physical game. And don't let anybody fool you. Auburn wanted to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they lost, it's didn't care about it. It was a meaningless game. Didn't care. John I. Broom pulled his shirt up over his face when that game ended because he didn't care anything about that game. That's why he pulled his jersey up over his face, and you could tell he's visibly distraught. But they're claiming that they didn't care. You
don't cancel the net cutting ceremony if you didn't care for that game.
They cared. Bruce played everybody
trash on the court. He didn't care
all the way to the end, even in overtime. Like they cared. They threw towels at us at the end. They cared. They packed that place out and were loud as heck the entire game, all the way through overtime. Nobody left their seat. They cared. They were going to roll Toomer's corner had they won that game.
And it shows you that I'm actually pretty proud of them. I know I've talked a lot of crap about this team, about having composure in it too, but I'm proud of the way it ended up happening. Now, were there some things where there was some chippiness in the game? Yes, absolutely. Should Grant Nelson have gotten teed up for the Crimson Crane? I think so. However, I mean, if it was after the game, like as they say, they couldn't have done anything about it. But during that situation, it was a form. And I've watched it a couple times. Can it be taken as taunting? Maybe. I've seen it before. But, and I know there's a lot of Auburn fans out there too that would be like, well, that could have changed the game. There's a bunch of things that could have changed that game. How many times have I said free throws can change a game?
Yeah.
How many times was a shot there or a turnover there has literally changed the outcome of a game? That's why I plead with this team. I was like, if you just limit your turnovers, make good shots, and make your free throws, you're going to be a very, very hard team to beat.
It's the turnovers, man.
Oh, the turnovers.
We could even work around the free throws because we can score so quickly, but the turnovers, and you just cannot. And it's hard to overcome a lot of turnovers.
The layups are also driving me up a wall. If I see another time we go up and miss a soft little layup right there, I'm going to lose it.
We're struggling at the rim sometimes.
I mean, I've seen us I saw, and Cliff had a decent game. He actually had himself a decent game. But I saw one where he banked one, and it just doinks it off. I was like,
Stevenson is the world's worst at the soft layups. For being 6'11" with a 10-foot wingspan, I should just tomahawk dunk it every time you get around the rim. But sometimes I think he plays to the foul, and then doesn't get the foul, and then you get the results, which is, off balance, missed layup, soft put back. But yeah. So, but I mean, that was a tough game. That was a gritty game to take that in overtime. And Auburn Broome hit that 3 to tie it. I was like, how do you not cover that guy? He had a 3 late in the game.
Wide open too.
I mean, just wide open. He just buries it
all day.
Silk. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, is Broome gonna shoot 3 balls, shoot us out of this game? And I honest to God, I thought he blew it at the end of regulation when he didn't attack Nelson. He tried to put him on his off hip and then hit him with a little fadeaway. And I thought Broome should have just mauled him. I mean, should have just backed him in like Shaq, on David Robinson, and just ragdolled him and put it up and in, or shot it up and in off the glass, or even dunked it. But I couldn't believe he opted to go the fadeaway. I guess I was going to look better holding the pose if he made it, but I don't know. I thought he should have just gone Shaq and just went right at Grant's hip, put him on his hip, and just banged him down low, and then whipped it around. Quick turnaround at the buzzer.
I agree.
But
I mean, he probably outweighed Nelson by 30, 40 pounds, I would say. So he had definitely a size advantage.
Maybe he's not 100%, so maybe, but he looked, I mean, he played full in overtime, so I don't know why he chose that. Weird choice. I thought he should have just gone right at him. Which Grant attacked in that game. I thought he played aggressive. The dunk was the sickest dunk I've seen since JD posterized Walker Kessler. But that was sick. I mean, that was so beautiful. And he got the and one. Did he make the free throw? I can't remember if he made the free throw.
Yeah,
but
I say he probably didn't.
But throwing that crane, maybe I should have teed him. But the reaction he got from that arena was so beautiful. And Bruce Pearl about blew a blood vessel, and he's screaming out his shirt almost, and his veins are popping all over his neck, and he's telling him that it's a taunt, and he's trying to imitate it and all that. And the students booing him and going berserk, and everybody in there up in a wad about it. I just could not have been happier. That's what you're supposed to do when you go on the road and you tomahawk it on the best defensive player in the SEC in his face.
You think Cardwell's the best defensive player?
I mean, he's up there. I mean, he's not worth a flip offensively, but he's a disruptor on the defensive end. Like, even if he doesn't show in the stat book, he alters plans, in the box.
I loved your retweet or your tweet earlier to the top 3 dunks, and you're like, Cardwell's on the receiving end of both of on two of them. One of them was it
Herb
doing it?
Herb in 21. Yeah.
God, he's been there that long. Good Lord. It goes back to, where was that comment? Pull that comment.
Like Jay Bake says, the guy's a 9-year veteran.
When's the 9-year veteran? But I think he had also asked and said, are we done with the COVID era?
No.
25 years old.
CBM is going to play next year, and he'll be 26.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree, Jay Bake. They definitely cared. They definitely cared.
What is that? Oh, my Lord. That's a
nice term.
I don't know if that's an adjective or a noun, but we're going to go with it.
You don't think Auburn would have cared to beat their biggest in-state rival on home court?
They did not want to lose
on the end of the season.
On senior night.
Yeah, on senior Alabama. Night. Yeah.
Of cutting
they did not want to do it. They did not want to do it. Fonzie.
Just came in from his other career of broadcasting.
And he's out.
And he's gone. It was nice. He had another plan. It's all right. It's good talk. We had a good, 8 seconds.
We enjoyed Fonzie's contribution there. Appreciate that, Fonz.
No, it's billing.
He's like
hours,
Monty in Major League. He's not the best co-host in the league for nothing, folks.
What do you say?
Steelers inside scoops.
You got anything to add to this, Monty?
That's what I thought.
Can you believe this? And he reaches over and grabs a bottle of whiskey and just chugs it. Oh, I love that movie. Can you believe
Hold on
this,
one
Lonnie?
second. No, take a swig of it. You're good, I turned.
Oh God.
But yeah,
Here.
that was such a satisfying win, and I'm just gonna let you know, as a Bama fan that's gone into basketball, I needed that for my psyche.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Wait,
agree.
no.
It's hard to get depressing really quick for this season.
I would much rather win the game going into the postseason than lose it. So
Yeah,
and they're right. The Auburn fans are right. It didn't carry any weight other than the fact both teams really wanted to win that game.
That is cope for them, though.
Yes.
I can't
I
get into
completely
this
agree.
conversation, but it's absolute cope.
Yes.
yeah.
The way they
completely
have acted after this game is kind of a joke.
Well,
But-
you came in right before we were talking about the crane that Grant Nelson did, and I said when you dunk on somebody in their own house, the number one team, and it's their best defensive player, and you dunk in his head like that, you can do whatever you want. You can moonwalk up and down the court if you want. You can do Leslie Nielsen and Naked Gun in the baseball field. You can do some of those shimmies if you dunk like that, and then.
That is golden.
And then
Oh my
the fact,
God.
like you said, Fonzie, we said the fact that they now suddenly Auburn didn't care about it. I said, look at Broome when he pulls his shirt up over his face at the end of that game. Tell me he didn't care. Bruce Pearl played all of his starters all through overtime, all of the end. Nobody left that arena. Not one person left that arena until they were throwing stuff at us at the end. But tell me again, they didn't care? Okay.
You see Nate get in there doing this?
Yeah,
throwing at
and
the
they ain't
crowd?
scared to mix it up. Of course, they're losing their minds about that too. Classless. He's a piece of crap. He should, man. You expect that from Nate? He endorses murder. You know, all that same BS. You know, and I'm like, y'all got to be kidding me. And then those clips of Pearl doing that hopping crane kick a couple of years
I
ago.
was gonna say they started this.
They started
Yeah.
it.
They just don't like
I mean-
that we're good enough to do it back. They're
Yeah.
such an arrogant basketball team. Granted, they've earned the right to be,
Yeah, I'll give him that.
but it's just the meltdown is just unreal.
It's hysterical to me.
I don't like to generalize, but they are just right now. Everything I see around Auburn is just so
agree, JB. Yeah.
righteous. It's like,
Yeah.
can we calm
I
down?
love that too, Jay Bake. Like that was that got me off my couch. And Grant dunked that ball and got fouled, and it hit the ground, and Broome like bumped him, and he just. And I was like, that's white boy Rick, baby. That's our guy.
What makes it even more hysterical is that the crane celebration wasn't even started in the basketball. It was started in freaking football.
By
from John
Mechie.
And
By a
J-Mo.
Bama
How
player.
much real estate you have in their heads that it wasn't even the same sport. And then,
Because didn't it started in football, then we started doing it in basketball around the.
no,
I
they
think in the-
started doing basketball. as a
Really?
taunt.
No,
Yes.
yes. To
And then we
taunt us.
started doing it back, and now that's how the trend has started.
Oh, well,
Yeah. Yes. And then the softball team picked it up.
Oh, really?
Softball team was doing the crane a bunch that year too, you know, because they went to the World Series that year, and they were throwing the cranes up that year too. So it became, you know, a thing that Mechie kind of, I won't say he invented the crane, but it just that's where I first saw it as a celebration, and it just took a life of its own. And like you said, Murph, it became a taunt for Auburn at us. And so Grant may have
Chris
just brought it
Youngblood's
back.
a felon too. I don't know
Yes.
if you've heard that yet.
Yes, you saw him kick Chad while he was down, and then I watched the clip, and he like grazed his elbow as he's trying
As
to
he
avoid
tried to
stepping
hop.
on him.
Yeah.
And they're like, he kicked him. You see Youngblood kicked Mazzara while he was down, and I was like, what?
It's just madness. That was the most satisfying one in a
Oh,
while. I know you
that's
guys probably already
hysterical to
talked
me.
about it, but
I loved it. I
was
mean,
much needed.
we needed a win going into the postseason. It just was sweeter that it was against number one on their home floor, and against our bitter rival.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Now this would have been epic. Now Nate should have gone to center court and thrown the crane up like a mid court. That would have been epic. Now I would have been on board with that.
oh, that would have been the biggest fine you could think of at the end of it,
Yeah.
and Sankey would have been just like, Nate, what are you doing? He's like just throwing up the crane,
Hey,
man.
he
Just
gets
throwing it
excited,
up.
man. You can't help it. Everybody, he should be. You never saw that much emotion out of Anthony Grant in 6 years.
And that,
Granted,
it's
they
funny
averaged
that you
41
brought that
points a game while he was there, but still.
Did he was it his last year when Relaford hit that half-court buzzer beater against Georgia? Was that his last year?
I believe so. That wasn't Avery's first year, was it?
I cannot remember.
I can't
just
remember
saw it pop
if
up on my
Relly
Twitter
played for Avery or not.
timeline this year, or was it and I saw that and I was like, I forgot how nuts
What up,
that
K
shot
Spray?
was.
Roll Tide, K Spray. Thanks
What
for
up, what
hanging
up?
out.
It's some crazy time. Yeah, I looked at the final score when he hit that half court shot, whatever year it was, and we won 61-58. And I'm like, see, that's how we won games back then. If our defense, we played a really good defense. Our offense was atrocious.
Poor
No
Relly,
game
man.
plan.
Played in the wrong era. He just had the unfortunate circumstance of playing in the wrong era. That guy was, man, I love me some Relaford. And he got fouled in the Creighton game. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
I know. That's where all the Creighton
I
stuff
mean,
started. Where
he got the crap knocked out of him. The ball landed about 7 or 8 feet short of the basket, and they're like, "Nope, never touched him." I was like, "Okay."
We were like 0-3 or 0-4 against Creighton before this year.
Until this year,
Yeah,
stupid
which was-
Creighton. Now this is a good question, K Spray. This is like maybe this is like postseason Grant Nelson, where he just is just trash for like a month. And then suddenly in the postseason, he discovers that none of these big men can guard him when he's, attacking and cutting and attacking the rim and stuff. And maybe this is postseason Grant. Maybe they just plays possum all year.
I think he's been hurt.
I think he's been dinged. Yeah, I do think he's been dinged. Now he needs to stop with the Russell Westbrook passes. He turns it over every time he does the jump pass. So he needs to stop with all that. Stop leaving his feet. If he leaves his feet, it needs to be to go up for a shot or draw a foul or something. But anyway, so we play Friday night, 8:30. I'm not sure who yet. I think it's either Kentucky, Ole Miss, or there was one other team they said we would get one of those three, I think.
Yeah, Kentucky, Georgia, and the other one might be
Georgia.
Ole Miss.
Okay. I think Ole Miss was the third one. Georgia is the one I couldn't remember. Which that would be about right. We play Kentucky 3 times a year, every year, and then twice, and then once in the tournament. We always get Kentucky in the tournament.
That's what it feels like.
Or Kentucky,
Always.
Georgia, and Oklahoma are the 3 we could get.
Okay, I thought it was Ole Miss, but I guess I misread that. All right. So it was an O. I got the O part right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be Friday night, 8:30. So, are you catching these games, Fonz?
No. Prices are outrageous.
For the conference tournament? That's insanity.
Well, you have to buy a session pass.
Okay.
So I'd have to buy Florida and Alabama session.
Oh, okay. All right.
And they're, nosebleeds are 155. Anything on the first
Jeez.
level I saw was at least 350.
Dang.
It's just,
Where are they playing? In the Predators Arena? Is that where it is?
yeah, they're playing at Bridgestone.
Bridgestone.
Yeah.
It's a nice place. Nicer place. Indeed.
Man.
It's all right.
and I
It's
think
a little
it's-
big for basketball, but
Isn't it going to be in Nashville until like 2035 or something? Didn't they sign a deal for
they signed a long yeah.
term?
I don't know how long it
deal?
is, but
So I know it's going to be in
here for a
Nashville
while.
going forward for the foreseeable future.
Kind of like
Could y'all see
football.
them? Could y'all see them building a venue for just SEC basketball for those kind of situations here in the next 5 years?
Nope, not in Nashville. And they're building a $2 million football stadium.
I said they're building a new football stadium, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think they'll take any more money to put towards. Bridgestone works. It's
Yeah.
a little
It's
big,
a nice
in my
place.
opinion, but
Dude, it's better
works
than
for
the
everything.
Georgia Dome, where it's like the
Yeah.
basketball tournament's like off in the corner, and then you have this giant empty complex.
Yeah,
I
The,
hate when they do the finals, the championship game in like the Superdome or some big football stadium, and then the floor is like out in the middle, and all these fake bleachers
Yeah.
are in there, and then they do it's like, what are we doing? There's
Wasn't-
a multi-million-dollar professional basketball arena right next door to the stadium. Why are they not playing it in there?
When that SEC tournament was, when that tornado went through in Atlanta, was that the Georgia Dome? When that
Yeah, because Mikhail Riley saved everybody's life that would have been walking outside at the end of that game if he not hit that 3-pointer to send it to overtime.
that video is still crazy. Like it's
nuts.
like nowadays, looking back at it, it is so grainy with how much. And we're only talking. I mean, I say only. We're talking about 18 years ago now. No, it was.
That was 2006, wasn't it?
2006.
5, 6,
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yeah, it was like 15,
So 18 years ago.
Yeah,
19 years
20
ago.
years ago. That's
So
insane.
19 years ago. Golly.
But I remember watching it, and I'm like, what's going on with the building? And I'm seeing the things sway back and forth, and I'm seeing the debris fall from the ceiling, and then you can see like the roof gets damaged. You can see something lightning all outside. It was insane.
And like the roof's like flapping off the top, and you're like, is that supposed to do that? I think that's supposed to happen.
Didn't they end up finishing it at Georgia Tech? At their yeah.
And they had to like flip it overnight. Like all that happened, and they had games like the next morning or the next day or something. So they had to flip everything to that Crumball Georgia Tech arena in like 12 hours after a tornado went through downtown. That was just nuts. They pulled it off, but that was crazy. That was just a crazy thing. And I think all those people would have been leaving the arena at that time. That tornado ripped through there. Had he not hit that 3? Shout out Mikhail Riley. Once again, played in the wrong era.
The fact that they were able to pull it off at all shows you how impressive that was.
Oh yeah.
That's
the
right.
whole like the organizers
She's right.
and everything.
She's right. Only family was admitted. That's right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, it's just hard to think back about it being that long ago, and then there's been just so many different stories of from that, just different SEC stories. One being that one, and then there's you had the years with Kentucky back in 2009. They were extremely good. They had what was his face, John Wall and Boogie Cousins, and then a couple years later they had AD, and then the year after that they had the 2 twins and Nerlens Noel. I mean,
forgot about the Harrison twins.
The Harrison, like, because they were good. Like there was like 2 or 3 years I'm like looking at. I was like, they could have and probably should have won it, but something ended up happening. And then obviously Auburn made their run to the Final Four in like, what was it, 17, 18, 19? Okay.
19.
So
that was the last time Bruce Pearl made it out of the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. Oh, too soon.
No.
He better make it out this year with this team.
Oh, if he doesn't, oh my gosh, they're not
man.
going to be he might be jumping for that Indiana job if they lose first round. Or has somebody filled that yet, or no?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think
That's
so.
what I've heard.
What's a failure for them though?
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like a Sweet 16 would be pretty disappointing. I think they're at least going to make the Sweet 16. At least
that would be a disappointment. I mean,
yeah,
I was disappointed in 23 with the Sweet 16 with that team.
With Brandon Miller.
Yeah, so if you get bounced in the Sweet 16, Auburn should be very disappointed. That should be a big time dick punch. They should at least go Elite 8 or Final Four. Once you get to Elite 8, it's really kind of just whoever's hot that night.
Right.
It's kind of just anything can go about that time. So it got to at least get to Elite 8. Even if they don't make the Final Four, that would still be a disappointment because this team.
Yeah, even with this team, I feel like Elite 8 would almost kind of be in a disappointment.
Yes, I'm almost about to say that. Like,
yeah,
I agree. This team is good enough to be one of the Final Four teams standing, and if they don't, that's a big disappointment. I mean, they're built for it. A lot of veterans, big men, size, reach.
I mean,
last year,
players.
7-year vets too.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. And that's what I mean. We have a lot of old guys on our team, but our thing is we lack in what I've literally pleaded with everybody for the last 2 years when it comes to basketball. It's like you got to have size down in the post. So I don't know. I hope I hope we can keep up a good trend, playing good defense and scoring a lot of points. Because unfortunately, I don't think the turnovers are going away. This team is who it is.
Capitalize on the turnovers too. Like, what was it? Auburn was averaging like 2 points per turnover. It's like,
yeah, I think we gave him 20 off of 10.
Yeah.
20 on 10 at one point. Yeah, I don't know if that was the final, but
that's insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
we had like 9 on 9 or something.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think tough defense will offset turnovers. That because we're going to have them. These guys just for whatever reason can't not turn the ball over. So locking down on the other end is how we're going to have to combat that. I mean, every game Nate says we got to clean up turnovers, and then we have 15 very next game. Got to clean up turnovers. We have 13, and then 14, and 15 again, and then 14. It's always a teen. We always have teen turnovers.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so apparently whatever we're doing in practice and film and all that, they can't seem to not turn it over. So we just got to lock up on the defensive end.
Yeah, because wasn't it in Mississippi State? It became like a buzzer beater because we just could not stop turning it over. And Mississippi State would capitalize on it.
Man, sometimes I wish we would mix in some different defensive looks instead of just, balls out, man-to-man entire game. Sometimes I wish we would attack with a zone, different type of zones maybe to attack different teams, maybe save some legs in the process. But I thought who was that? Who did Auburn lose to before us?
A&M.
A&M. I thought A&M just took them apart running that zone, like Cameron said on that group text. I thought they just took them apart. So I mean, I can't question Nate's methods. He's very successful, and I'm glad he's our coach. But if I'm nitpicking, sometimes I wish he would try attacking with some different zones, maybe
like a 1-2-2 or something like that.
Something, or even a 3-2 if you've got your small lineup in. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he knows more than he'll forget more than I'll ever know. He knows the team, their strengths and all that. But my outside looking in just thinks, I mean, we could attack different defensively if that is an option as well.
I don't disagree with it.
Like I said, he knows the team. His ways are proven to have worked. So I can't really question them. Yeah, but that was a good game Saturday. Tough game. That was a great game to watch. I mean, win or lose, that was a really fantastic basketball game.
It was
to watch. I was very impressed watching that game. The refs on both sides, the refereeing was kind of sketchy. On both sides, the stuff they let go and the stuff they call is just sometimes you're just left wondering. I don't understand. Like if you come out and check the guy when he crosses half court, they'll call it every time. But you could DDT somebody under the basket and they just, they're just like, let him play.
No, it's a basketball move. It's a basketball move.
Hey man, it's physical play. And then like Holloway comes out and checks the guy at half court and they're like, and he gets like a cheap foul. And I'm like, there's bodies on the floor down here still. I mean, I don't know. I can't figure out SEC refereeing, but anyway, so yeah, we're rolling into the postseason. This is a useless tournament, in my opinion, this conference tournament. I wish if you get a double bye, you should be able to skip it. That's just my very hot take. I'm in the minority, but I think if you're getting double bye in a tournament, you shouldn't have to play in it. Does nothing for any of the teams, any of those 4 double bye teams. I don't think winning or losing in this tournament is going to mean a hill of beans. So
no,
I'd prefer to rest legs, get guys a little bit healthier, and get ready for the real tournament. But got to play it. They schedule them so you have to play it. So you might as well try and win it. But I think it was a huge benefit us going one and done last year and getting an extra 4 days of rest to get ready for the tournament. So that's just my opinion on the conference tournament. They're fun to watch, which is why they do them. I think they're fun to watch. Now, I mean, I'll be tuning it in. It's fun to watch, but it's not really necessary for the top 4 teams that are going to be in the tournament anyway.
And you said we play Friday?
Yeah,
Friday night, 8:30. Well, ish. It may, depending on I'm sure there's a game ahead of us. So whenever the game in front of us, they'll probably play at 6.
They play at 6, yeah.
Okay. So maybe ESPN is starting to figure this out, that they need to space these games 2.5 hours apart and not 2 hours apart on broadcasts. I mean, because.
Or I've got a nice idea. How about we cut down the dadgum commercials? We can play some actual sports.
That's not going to happen.
I know. It's all about the almighty dollar. I get it.
The teams don't need 5 timeouts plus 6 media timeouts. That's like 11 timeouts per half. Like, they don't need that many timeouts. Give them 3 like in football. And then you got to be, but knowing you're going to get a bunch of media timeouts at the 4-minute mark, the 8-minute mark, the 10-minute mark.
Be right back.
Are there any projected seeds out right now for the tournament?
I'm sure there are.
Yeah, there's
2.
They're out there. I mean, you can look them up, but it's all going to change this weekend.
Right.
I think we're projected 2.
That's the one I saw. We were 2.
Is that the ceiling based on our performance in the tournament, or is that the low?
That's
might be a dumb.
I mean,
question.
that's where we are now. If we win, I think there's a shot we get the 1, but I think we're pretty much entrenched at 2.
Yeah.
I don't really see us.
That's more so what I'm asking. Like, based on our performance, does it even really matter for our placement?
Very little. I mean, we're going to be one of the top 2 seeds or one of the low 1 seeds.
Right.
So you're going to have to play a good team if you want to make it far anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
If we were like a projected 7 seed, then I'd probably care a lot more about this.
Case Spray's right here.
Result of this weekend.
Hopefully, no SEC refs in this in the national tournament.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Somehow, Pat Adams will be in the championship game refereeing. Somehow,
he's gonna get one.
He'll get one, and Doug Showers will be in there too. Just I can't. And he's back.
We're back. Oh,
Maverick.
Come on. See how you like that. See, we thinking the same thing. But I'll say this. I'm really excited to see when the big dance comes, what this team can do. I hope. I don't want to put all of it and say, oh, we're definitely making the Final Four. We're going to do it. I don't want to see that. But if we can get, in my opinion, if we can get to at least the Elite Eight, maybe the Final Four, I think with all the issues that this team has, I'll be pretty happy. I mean, heck, they could win it all. Or they could also get knocked out the first round, because I've seen them just not show up, too, and get beat pretty handily. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be real. I mean, I'm going to love watching Rick Pitino do his thing with St. John's. Like, it's crazy to see what he's done and make. I mean, he's just a heck of a coach on that level. So I'm excited to watch that. There's a couple playing games here in the next. I don't know if it's starts next Wednesday.
Well, next Wednesday, like a week from this Wednesday, I think are the first 4.
Mm-hmm.
Those little playing games.
So,
but that reminds me, next Monday night will be our bracket show, because brackets will be out Sunday. So next Monday night will be our bracket show. So I'll be sure to tune in.
I'd be content with Elite Eight if that's how we ended up this season. But I didn't think we were a Final Four team last year, so
not even close. That's
part of the fun of the tournament, though, is that it's anybody's game.
I agree. That's just part of the winging it. That's why it's a fun tournament. Got to win 6 in a row. That's hard to do. I mean, anywhere in any league, it's hard to win 6 games in a row. Somebody got to do it. Why not us?
I don't disagree. I mean,
I think we're sort of built for it compared to some of these other teams.
We're definitely built for it. It's just if we want to play defense, if we decide to play solid defense, I think we're going to be, because even when the shots aren't falling, if we're playing defense, we get enough paint touches and attacks at the rim that even if we're cold from 3, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
But if we're not playing defense, if it's like Florida and they're just coming up the floor and laying it up every time down the floor or dunking it, I mean, that was pathetic.
Well, that's the problem with them, is we don't match up well at all with Florida.
Man, few
And
did.
and I'll say this: they're my actually dark horse to win it all because
they're number 4, man.
I mean, I say dark. I'm sorry. I'm dark. I'm sorry. But everybody
number 4.
South Florida.
I get what you're saying.
South Florida. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but everybody's been. What I'm saying is this: everybody's talked about Auburn, Alabama, Duke. Heck, people have been talking about what can Tennessee do? Not a lot of people. I feel like Florida's a little. When I say dark horse, obviously they're one of the best dadgum teams in the whole country. They're in the top 5. They're number 4, like you said. But I just feel like nobody's really talking about them.
Yeah, so
I think that's
number 4. I think.
Yes.
It's true.
I just feel like that's gonna play very, very well into their area because they've got guys who were hurt, kind of like us, but who were out numerous, like 6-7 games. Like I know we're missing Mallet right now. We're missing him, and we're missing Luttrell as well. I mean, if we had him,
this guy, Reed.
Reed. Yeah, that's what I'm.
Sherelle, props to Sherelle, man. He's been answering the bell for the minutes he's gotten, but losing Reed hurt.
And that's my thing. Wasn't Sherelle one of the top 5 players as a freshman coming in or whatever it was, recruits?
I remember he was I know he's a freshman. I don't remember what his hype was though coming in. I don't remember.
It was like size-wise, he fits the bill for being that kind of post player. I mean, he looks young, but body-wise, I'm like, you just give it one more year, stay one more year. And I feel like it could be something really, really well next year. Obviously, he may transfer. Who knows? I don't know.
It's like, what sucks is like, that's fear with everybody.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like Phylon has been a major contributor, massive part. And if the season ended and he entered the portal, it wouldn't surprise me a bit. That's as sad as that reality is. You know, I mean, that's
I just wonder
where we are now.
I do wonder though, with what Nate's built, how many people he does retain going into next year. And obviously we got a good recruiting class coming in too, again. But I mean, if he could keep Sherelle, if he could, obviously if Wrightsville comes back, which I think he is.
I think he's already announced. I think he's already said he's coming back.
If we can get Mallet back, if I know Nelson will be gone, Sears will be gone, Youngblood will be gone. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I'll say it, and I'm probably gonna get heat for it. I wouldn't mind if Stevenson would have left. I think we can go find somebody to plug him back in.
He'll test the draft. I mean, he'll test the draft waters.
And if he goes, then I think that's a just complete buffoonery idea because I don't think he is at all near good enough to do it. He just, as you said, plays to the foul. I was like, well, if you're going to play to the foul, at least make the shot and give it an attempt to it. Drive through the guy. You're 6'11".
He shows flashes every now and then, and you're like, there, do that. Play that way, attack like that, then it reverts, but he shows these flashes in there, these blips in there, where you're like, attack the rim like that. They can't stop you.
Cliff will also be gone. I forgot about that.
He's a senior anyway, so
very different next year.
Very much so. But I'll say this: I'm say disappointed from that on that aspect of Cliff. I thought we were going to get a little bit more out of him. I think he obviously, we did not look at that one very well. I think we gave him like $1 million to play for us, and I'm like, I don't know if that was really worth it at this point. I mean, I think we could have gone and gotten somebody the same stature and pay him half of that, if that's the case. I mean,
he came from Rutgers too.
I know.
Which they play a different brand of basketball. I think Cliff's a really good player. I just don't think he can shine on a team like this. I don't think his strengths fit our strengths, but I don't know. I think he's served his role and done it fairly well.
So I think he's shooting 70% from the field. Of course, they're all dunks, but
yeah.
Well, that's the thing, like those layups or those easy bank shots, and I've seen, and it drives me nuts that you're missing 4 foot, 5 foot shots. This is supposed to be money, in college basketball.
Whole team can't hit a layup. That's
God, it drives me nuts. You know what grinds my gears? Not making a damn layup.
Missing layups.
There you go. That's another one.
And front end of the 1-and-1s.
Oh, that's don't even get me started. That is infuriating. If you hit the back of the iron, okay, it was a flat shot. If you hit the front on a 1-and-1, I'm just gonna be like, you didn't even try.
Yeah, K-Spray's right. We get a couple more Mo D's, although Mo plays a little crazy sometimes. If we could get Mo D's, if we could, like, his energy level is unprecedented. I love his energy level, and he plays tough. Sometimes he just gets a little out of his mind and, like, tries to dribble up the court and dribble through defenders, and it's like, I don't need you doing that. But yes, I agree with you. This will grind Parker's gears right here.
Do you want to know something about that? And by the way, I know. Oh no, Houston Mallet is on our team. I thought he had already graduated, but
he's
I thought I was losing my mind
because he got hurt. He was redshirted.
Yep. So crazy enough. So our senior night was against Florida. Was that right?
Yeah.
Was it against Florida? That was, if Bediako had stayed, he was going to be a part of that class of senior night, and he was actually in the building.
I'd say he was there,
night. And I'm like,
he was just in some gray sweats.
What's he doing now? I don't know where he is. Is he in the not in the G League? Is he over in Euro?
Probably in Euro or playing in Brazil or somewhere. There was a lot of star power in the crowd that night, and then we looked like poop.
Wasn't Herb there? Herb was there.
Miller was there too. Of course, he's out for the season, so he got nothing else.
He had a wrist injury. Had surgery on it.
Yeah, so he's out for the year. So he's
dude. He was balling. He was
Herb back. I know he was hurt for a while.
Well, he plays for the Pelicans, so you won't have to say much on that.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool seeing all those guys back. Of course, we lost, but none of that matters now. Everybody's 0-0 starting in the postseason. Get a little tune-up these next few games this week, whether we win them or lose them. If we're playing them, I want them to win. If we lose them, I won't be devastated. I won't masquerade that I didn't care about the game, but if we don't win it, we'll be all right. See you in the following Thursday or Friday.
I'm just gonna gaslight everybody that I never mattered to me.
Hashtag never mattered.
It never mattered. Never happened.
Never happened. Never mattered.
The great thing is this: if the basketball season were to end right now, Bama baseball is ranked. People, we're talking about this. They lost their first game against Presbyterian. They lost, but the prior 2 games they played against Presbyterian, they run ruled them, beat them like 10 to nothing one day, and then 15-1 the second game. So I don't think we played really anybody on that Sunday game, and we lost 8-11.
This is interesting. DM me, Jay Bake.
Yes, we will be doing. We will be doing. I'll
give you the
big time.
Yeah, we'll set one up.
I was actually just going to ask that earlier. Oh, there you go. Baseball. Shocking. Now, I will say we do have a midweek game. I think it's tomorrow. We play UAB, and then we go into the weekend with a series. I think is it at Texas A&M? I know we got a 3-game series at Texas A&M.
That's a start. Is that the first weekend of league play?
Yep. So that's going to be interesting.
Where are they ranked? Like 7th?
We're actually ranked higher than them right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they dropped quite a bit this past week.
think we are
I think they're in that
16 or
20 range,
17.
I know that
Yeah.
at one point there were like 7 SEC teams in the top 10 in baseball. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
my gosh. We
You
thought
might be
basketball
tempted.
was a gauntlet. Good Lord.
Baseball, that's a whole nother ball game.
Man,
That is
you're
a
not
whole
kidding.
nother ball game.
You ain't kidding.
I used to, when I was growing up, everyone talked about how competitive the football was. So I was like, oh yeah, very much so. And then as it's gotten old, you got older and it gradually has changed. Basketball, fantastic, very competitive. Baseball is a whole nother world. I mean, you look at look at the past winners of the College World Series. I mean, Vanderbilt won it however many years ago. Ole Miss won it, and then Mississippi State won it. Then Tennessee won it.
Yeah, wasn't it almost like the last 10 years, like 8?
Isn't Ole Miss in there too? Didn't Ole Miss win it?
Yeah, Ole
Mhm.
Miss,
Those years in there?
State, Vandy, Tennessee,
LSU.
LSU won it in
LSU.
23.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm looking. I was like, every other year, I mean, you're having an SEC team win it, and then it's like, obviously, the team who won it the prior year is going to lose all their talent because of either they go to the pros, except for Tennessee. Somehow they are back in like the top 5 right now. With what's that head coach's name? He is
Tony Vitello.
Vitello.
Yeah.
I almost said Ditello, but it's Tony Vitello, and he is a hothead. I will say that, but man, he can coach, so I'll give him that.
They also get really upset if you talk about their field.
Yeah,
the fences are really short.
Yeah, it's
like
quite
365
short.
to the gap.
That is pretty short. I think high school, like on some of the short ones, 325, 335 for some of the short ones in the left field.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's about average. I think their field's fine, but it's just funny. Their fan base gets really upset if you talk about it.
Don't mention their football field. I can tell you that. The garbage truck convention.
Scott, they got a full series with Vandy in May. You going to that?
I don't know. That'll probably be a week of decision.
I'm about to say it might be a rough
See if
one there.
they
If you
don't
get that.
fall apart in conference play.
I went
they've
to
been
when
competitive.
Bama played at Troy, and they're playing again in May.
Yes.
It was super fun to go to, so I'll probably go to that again this year.
My parents bought season tickets for Troy.
Nice.
For Troy baseball. And we'll definitely be going to that game.
All right, well, I'll be there too.
Because Troy baseball, that's another thing too. I know we come down from nobody talks a lot about Troy, but Troy baseball is they play fierce. They like to fight. Mm-hmm. They're good. They're in the top.
They have a good basketball team this year too. They had a pretty good year in basketball.
They're actually
pretty competitive when it comes to basketball.
They're about to make their conference championship in the Sun Belt for basketball. So whoever wins that gets they're getting an auto bid into the big dance. So
I think they got 20-something wins. Troy does.
Yeah.
That was a crazy thing. I think Cameron had mentioned that in the group text. There was like a 3-way tie for first place in that conference. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's crazy. Coin flip stuff. So, well, we're going to pivot out of basketball for a second.
Pivot.
Based off this hat that I'm wearing, there's some news coming out of Steeltown that the Steelers have made a trade for one DK Metcalf and then agreed to an extension with him. Now, I had to throw water on my face because that's really not the Steeler way, is to trade for somebody and give them $150 million. That's not typically what the Steelers do for an offensive player anyway. They do for defensive players. So there's a lot of hubbub now, Fonzie, about we missed extending TJ. So is the move now to move off of TJ to start pointing to the future, or do you try to run it back with TJ and risk losing him for nothing, or try to extend him at $40 million a year?
I think you have to extend them, but
yeah.
I mean, you're not replacing that.
Yeah.
You're just not.
Close.
I don't care what they say. Well, we have Alex Highsmith and Herbig. Well, you're just not replacing it.
No.
He's dedicated his time here. Like, that's a decision they need to make. They also need to realize that we're not in a position to. We don't have a quarterback. So, like,
that's the biggest issue right now.
need
That
to
was so
decide-
great. That was
They
so
need
put so
to
perfectly.
decide what the direction of the team is.
Thank you.
They're not going to keep competing. Like, getting rid of TJ Watt is telling me that you're not ready to compete right now. And at that point, why did you go get DK then?
Yeah.
Why didn't
If
you
you-
draft a guy? Why aren't you working to get a quarterback?
If you move off TJ, you're like, okay, we're rebuilding. Like, we're getting what we can for him to rebuild.
You can get a lot of good things for him. Like, if that's the decision they make, fine. But again, I don't understand going out.
No, he's a
Yeah,
Steeler,
yeah.
J-Bake. Pittsburgh.
Would it be like a cap space? Like, what's the cap space?
Shut
for
your mouth,
Pittsburgh?
J-Bake. You shut it. You shut it.
I mean, we have enough cap right now.
No, God,
You wanna
please, no.
Stuff
Yeah,
TJ,
he's a
but-
first rounder.
Well, they should have done it at the end of last year, and they could have got him for $30 million a year.
Yep.
But they drug around, and now it's going to cost them $40 million a year to keep him, especially with Myles Garrett demanding a trade from Cleveland and getting a 4-year, $160 million deal.
I mean,
Saying
they
how
just
much he
literally
hates- he wants to leave Cleveland. Is, I
Yeah.
never. Yeah, I'm good.
I love the little memes of that. They're like, I want to trade because I want to go win for, I want to go play for a championship. How does $110 million sound? He goes,
110, try about 150,
150. I'm exact. I didn't see the
160.
numbers.
It's 40 a year, $40 million a year. I don't know what the guarantee number of years was, but it's $40 million a year because
All I knew is it was over $105 million. And I said,
yeah,
you've got
my
to be
first-
absolutely shitting
my
me right now.
first-
Excuse my French, but it is.
the first thing out of my mouth was when I saw that deal was son of a b. We're gonna have to pay TJ at least 40 now, which he deserves it, but that doesn't mean I wanted to pay him. We should have paid him last year and given him 30. We've been all right. But
Garrett's been in the league now, what? Yeah, I mean, I remember him.
17 was his. I think he was number 1 draft pick in 17,
Yeah. 17 or 18, yeah.
somewhere around
'Cause
there.
I remember him playing for A&M, and he never did anything against us. But then again, that was, I mean, he'd have a couple tackles, here and there, but that was in our heyday when our offensive line was stacked.
We're gonna get
and-
back there. We're getting back there, but yeah, we like Fonzie said, we don't have a quarterback.
Yeah,
Justin Fields just signed with the Jets, which that's fine with me. I mean, he wasn't the future to me anyway. He was going to be a Band-Aid however long we had him, just in my opinion.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, and I was saying then Russ was cooked by the end of last year, and they weren't going to bring him back. Although when they signed DK or trade for DK, I was like, does that mean Russ is going to get one more shot? But now that Aaron Rodgers stuff's out there. Anyway, what were you going to say, Fonz? I'm sorry.
I just think Justin Fields in particular, they should have just brought him back. 2 years. If it doesn't work out, you're at square one anyway.
Yeah.
Why are we looking at 37-year-olds and 41-year-olds that absolutely are not going to be the answer? Long term
No.
or even medium term. If you re-sign Russ, you're getting him for a year, maybe 2, but it's Russ instead of Justin Fields, so you're probably paying more money.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, who I tend to
Just-
like as a player, is 41.
He's 41.
just wait. You forgot to hear about the prodigal son saying that he may unretire and come back and wants to play for the Steelers. Big Ben Roethlisberger wants to come out of retirement and come play.
He
There
did
was
not
a thing
say
on-
that, did he?
Yes, there was a whole
But it was
video.
more of a joke.
I think it was sarcasm, and all the comments were like,
Oh, okay.
I am so tired of these old, washed-up quarterbacks saying, hey, I'm going to make another run. I'm
Well,
retiring.
I mean, Fonzie's right. They should have at least given him at least a 1-year deal with maybe a team option for a second or something like that. Just to,
I would have given him the Jets contract in a heartbeat.
yeah,
I heard
just to see what you get. Because 2 years, if it sucks, you're out in 2 years and move on.
Yep.
Or you can
Depending on
cut
how
him.
you structure it, you can cut him
Yeah,
after
you
this
can
year.
cut him after this year. I mean, it made sense to me to, but they really did not like what they saw of Fields, even though he won 4 out of 6 games. They really didn't like something about him, and then they just wouldn't sign him. I mean, the season
That blows
ended
my
2
mind,
months
though.
ago, or a month ago. They wouldn't sign him every day, wouldn't sign him, and then now he's gone to the Jets.
Didn't like what they saw with Fields.
Talk about overpay. He just got $110 million from the Seahawks. Hey,
there you go. Well, I mean, hey, he did. He had him a decent season with the Vikings. He had him a good season. So, I will say, to the Field situation, winning 4 out of 6, you said, of the games that
he was 4-2 when they benched him and put Russ in.
So looking at it, I was like, so they didn't have faith in Fields to do it yet. Drafted Kenny Pickett, stayed with him for so long. I'm a little bit confused. Now he's gone to I understand that was
different front offices.
I know, and I'm looking at it. I'm like,
much different
because and that's the whole thing is why NFL is so much different to my mind than college and all this other stuff. Is each different front office makes those kind of decisions. So.
Yeah.
Looking at it, I'm like, and didn't we just see him get, what was that thing that he going to the Browns now? Is that where he's going?
Yep. So he's going to be the starter because Watson's out for the year. So unless they have another plan at starter, it's Kenny Two Gloves is going to be QB1 in Cleveland.
Yeah, because Jameis was just on a 1-year deal, right?
Yep. Yeah, some people are still looking at the 49ers have looked at Jameis and then one other team, but they were like, oh, you're going to be a backup. He's like,
I mean, he's a backup at this point. But he's a serviceable backup. I mean, if you get to the point that you have a backup, your backup quarterback's playing, you're probably not contending anyway. But I mean, I'd sign him as a backup.
He's a gunslinger.
Appears to be a good locker room guy.
Everybody likes him.
A lot of teammates speak highly of him. So you could do a lot worse as a backup.
He has come a long way since his crab leg days. I will say that. So I am proud.
I mean, you could have Mitch Trubisky as your backup.
Ooh, Lord.
Here's what it's DK even makes me mad. Like they brought in DK Metcalf. We don't have a quarterback. You have George Pickens, who, in my opinion, is a better wide receiver. I don't think DK is that great. I think he's good.
He's just a physical beast.
He's a physical beast that can't route run and doesn't catch the ball. Any contested balls. He's great when he's wide open or he has space.
He should rip balls out of the sky with that physique and reach.
Like, I'm going to be very, very frustrated if we don't bring back George Pickens now. Because now you have the same issue you just had for all these years where you only have one wide receiver that's reliable.
Yes.
And now the better, more well-rounded wide receiver is going to walk because you brought in DK Metcalf.
Well, DK is a big good compliment because they're not the same kind of receiver.
He's a great compliment, yeah.
Yeah. So the two of them together in a real offense, I think you could be a threat.
For sure. That's why we need to sign George. Yesterday.
Keep Pickens. You can make it like. The fact that Steeler Nation immediately jumped to, well, that means Pickens is gone. I'm like, why can't you have two good receivers? Teams have two good receivers all the time. It's just, you have to. Like you can't have Pickens and a bunch of fours. You got to have a 1 and a 2 and a 3, but you can't have Pickens and then 4 wide receiver fours and try to round out.
Well, they have to complement each other too.
Yeah.
Think about Tyreek and Waddle and Devontae and A.J. Brown. They complement each other in their positions.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But
I don't know if DK and Pickens is.
I mean, I appreciate the Steelers making a splash, because we're not really a splash team very often. We don't make big splashes like that. The Minka trade was pretty big. Rare. We don't do that a ton. But so I'm glad we made a splash. I appreciate that. But I'm with Fonzie. Like I saw that and I said, well, who's going to throw it to him? I mean, I don't think there's any quarterbacks even on the roster right now.
Skylar Thompson.
Oh dear.
So like I said, there are no quarterbacks on the roster right now.
Absolutely not. I saw enough of Skylar Thompson as playing in Miami. Please, no. That you do not want that guy as your quarterback. I'm sorry, you don't want him. If he's your quarterback, you might win 5 games, maybe.
If you want to pick up the Falcons tab, you probably get Kirk Cousins.
Honestly, I'd take Kirk Cousins over Skylar Thompson. That I don't know how he is a quarterback in the league.
There's nothing in it for this team with any of these veterans.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. Like I would be fine with Aaron Rodgers for a year. I think the team would be good. I think he'd do well here. He was really, really good down the stretch last year. Granted, he wasn't playing for much, so he's just going out there free balling.
Yeah.
But there's just, I think they screwed up by letting Justin Fields walk. And I think his contract, all things considered, is pretty reasonable.
Two at 40 for a quarterback in the NFL is very reasonable.
With 30 guaranteed. I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
I think it's time.
That's the going minimum for QB1s is about 20 a year. I mean,
I think it's time. I think it's time you go ahead and go dust off the old cleats and just, let's go ahead and go get Joe Flacco. Go get Joe Flacco. He can give you about 9 games.
We may need it if we pick up Aaron Rodgers. I mean, of course, Dan Moore won't be playing left tackle.
That is also true. I know y'all are so happy about that.
Broderick Jones is any better, but I know Dan Moore sucks. So that's one thing I do know. Although he did just get $80 million from the Titans.
From the Titans. So. I was about to say the lovely Titans seem to have not learned anything. He's going to move into Fonzie's apartment complex. So Fonzie see Dan Moore every day he comes home from work. Dan Moore's going to be out there throwing his garbage out or something.
I don't dislike him as much as you. I think he's a starting tackle in the NFL. Nothing more, nothing less.
We are in very big disagreement on that one, but I love it.
He is. The team did. He cashed in.
He did cash in. I'll give him that.
You look at his numbers; they are way worse because of Myles Garrett and Trey Hendrickson. He's not on that level, but he is a starting tackle in the NFL.
Jeff,
he's a top 32 left tackle in the NFL.
Despises Dan Moore with a passion. He's like, that guy should never put on an NFL jersey ever again.
Well, just not a Steeler jersey, but I don't care what they do afterwards. All I go by is what I see in the black and the gold. And too many times I was seeing the front of Moore's jersey and not the back. But to Fonzie's credit, Myles Garrett did that to a lot of tackles in this league. Now, why we didn't alter our scheme against Myles Garrett, we just left Moore out there by himself all the time. That's another question. But, yeah, to Fonzie's credit, I'll agree with that. He was going against some pretty good edge rushers.
And they never helped him.
So where is Najee going to go?
That's another fumble. That's another dumb move, in my opinion. Not that Najee's a 1,800-yard rusher, but for what, $7 million? Are there any 4,000-yard rushers out there for $7 million?
He'll go play for a team like Chicago or something like that.
I mean, there's not. He's the only running back go for 1,000 yards 4 straight years in the recent past. Even Derrick Henry didn't because he got hurt that year, which he would have. He was on pace. One more game he would have, but.
That's what I was thinking pre-DK, that the Steelers were going to go after the run game pretty hard.
That's what Arthur Smith really likes. But
yeah,
well, we've drafted good linemen the last couple of drafts. We've really tried to stockpile solid offensive linemen. Now, last year, our number 1 pick blew his leg out in the preseason, so that didn't help.
Especially when the QB is such a question mark.
What was his name? Fonzie Samolu or?
Yeah. Simalu.
Isaac or somebody Simalu or something. Simalu. Polamalu.
Definitely not that. Definitely not that. If there was another Polamalu playing, I think anybody who knows American football would be like, why did we not recruit this guy and what's going on?
No, J-Bake, this will never happen. Ever.
No.
I just don't. I wish they would have brought back Najee, but I don't think they needed to either. They'll find his replacement in the 3rd round of this draft, 4th round, 5th round pretty easily. It's a very deep draft. I don't know. $7 million for a running back isn't exactly cheap nowadays.
But you get consistent production.
You do.
And my problem is that they're going to do like they did with James Conner and say, Jaylen Warren's the guy. And they're just going to roll out there with Jaylen Warren and a couple of rookies, and he's going to get Connered. He's going to get knocked out. He's going to get busted up halfway through the year. He's not going to make it. And, then we're going to be down to to these rookie running backs. I thought they should have complimented James Conner. I thought that's what he was. And then he goes to Arizona where they have other running backs, and he compliments them, and he's having an outstanding career now.
That'll be
So
interesting.
I thought we mishandled. Of course, Le'Veon Bell pulling his crap didn't really help. What was that, Hunter? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it'll be interesting if Najee pops off elsewhere, like James Conner, and like we've seen with other running backs do.
I don't know if he will. I mean, we gave him a ton of volume. I liked Najee in Pittsburgh. Thought he got a lot of flack for no reason. We didn't necessarily put him in the best situations. I mean,
that was my biggest problem.
He was fighting 3 guys in the backfield just to get back to the line of scrimmage every play. But he's limited. He's a limited skill set as far as NFL running backs go. And I'd like to have him back. I don't think it's as crucial that we brought him back as getting a quarterback, for example.
Right.
Or improving the wide receiver
that.
core. I think there's other priorities, and
we
could have benefited, but also we'll find a way to replace his production, I think. In one way or another.
2 or 3 players.
Yeah.
Combine whatever. But you're right. I liked him in Pittsburgh. I mean, he seemed to fit the Steeler kind of way. Tough grind out, tough yards, type of running back you want in the mudder, in the snow or the muddy field or whatever, those downhill grinders. I like those, but he definitely wasn't fleet of foot. But like you said, Fonzie, we would run like toss sweeps with him. And it's like, he doesn't have the speed to turn the corner. So stop.
Yeah.
It's like, and then they would go Jaylen Warren, dive up in the 2 gap or something. And I'm like, am I taking crazy pills? Put the speed guy on the edge, I mean, it's just weird stuff. Like plays with Najee were like not to his strength. And they didn't really throw him the ball a ton. And I thought he was a fantastic pass catcher coming out of Alabama. So just a comedy of errors in his usage, I think. I mean, and they used him the right way sometimes, but then there were some other times where you're like, that's not really his game.
From the games I saw when watching the Steelers, it almost like he was always being used like a straight up the middle kind of guy, where I thought he might have been a little bit better as like a Bijan type, where get a little more dynamic with his plays.
Yeah, and like Fonzie said, there was 3 guys on him just about every time he touched the ball.
One thing that bugged me like no other about him too, and I think this is one of his biggest negatives, is he wasn't incredibly patient.
Yeah.
Because Le'Veon Bell
was
excellent between the tackles because of how patient he was. He wasn't very fast. I mean, he ran like a 4.6 at the combine.
Yeah.
Najee ran like a high 4.4, I think, low 4.5. So athletic guy for his size, pretty deceptively quick once he got going, but he just,
I think he put on too much weight.
Get the ball and run, and it's like, he wouldn't really, not that our line was doing a great job of opening holes, but he wouldn't give them time to develop either.
Yeah. Some of the best holes are the ones you wait for, and then the pressure. Like I call it the Alex Highsmith hole, because Alex Highsmith blows 15 yards up the field every play, and if you just do a draw and go left, it's the edge of the field's wide open because Highsmith's 10 yards back here.
Who's the guy you brought up, Scott?
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Was he the guy that would almost walk in the beginning and just like
he would almost stop and just stand there.
Yeah.
He'd get the ball and just like stand there.
I've never seen anybody do it quite like that.
No, I've never seen anybody do that and be that successful.
But it worked.
He was outstanding. Hall of Fame career until he got greedy and then ruined everything. It ruined the Steelers and it ruined him because we hadn't been the same on the ground since, and he became an afterthought. He got his money, but I mean, nobody talks about his rap career anymore either. That's what he was plugging the year he sat out. Yep. But you don't hear nothing from Le'Veon anywhere now other than a tragic story of don't bite the hand that feeds you.
I mean, how many of those situations are we going to continue to see?
He was,
and that's the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah. You remember the discussions of who was the best running back in the league? It was Le'Veon, Zeke Elliott. It was basically that was the discussion. because Le'Veon was that freaking good.
What was that?
Problem
was
was,
like 10 years ago now?
Probably like 6 or 7.
6 or 7?
Yeah.
Maybe 8.
I think he sat out the 17 season or 18 season.
Sat out in 18.
18, okay.
But he was at a weird time too, because the league was slowly starting to transition. It didn't really fully transition until probably like 2019, 2020, but he should have been the highest paid running back in the league probably at the time.
Yes.
So,
but see,
it was silly he sat out.
Yeah.
He probably did deserve to get paid.
He did.
Contract would have been atrocious in like 3 years. And good running backs now are getting what he wanted then.
Yeah.
And cap has gone way up, et cetera.
And then if you remember, Fonzie, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he want more because he was catching so many balls too? So he wanted to be paid as like a receiver and a running back. So he was looking for almost a double dip.
Well, yeah, but he was getting 400 touches a year.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm saying, he had the what do you want to say?
Paid,
he had the back to take it in there, the data to say, look, man, 400 plus touches the last 3 years in a row. I mean,
putting up Derrick Henry carries.
It was fumbled. Le'Veon fumbled it bad, and the Steelers were not going to pay him that kind of money.
It all came down to the guarantees too.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, we gave him what he wanted annually, but the guaranteed money was like half of what he wanted.
Sucked.
He wanted a lot of guaranteed money.
That was a bummer, man. That was. And then remember that whole season, they were like, Le'Veon's going to be there by week 4. He said, no, he promised week 8. No, week 12 they expect Le'Veon, and then he never showed up. He just never showed up.
Not to objectify a grown man, but you're being a running back in the NFL. You're a depreciating asset.
Yes.
By the time you hit 30,
unless your name's Derrick Henry, it's over.
Pretty much over. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been a mistake, but he wasn't wrong. I'll give him that.
Yes. He deserved the money.
Yeah.
But they should have been more reasonable in the length type deal. I think he wanted years and guarantees, and the Steelers were like, we'll give you what you want every year, but we're not going to do it for 6 years. We'll give you that at 3, or 2 or 3 or whatever. And then he was like, no. And then just that was the end of the era.
Yep.
That was tough. That was tough. I kind of thought Najee would not be the next Le'Veon, but his catching skills and his route tree skills coming in, I thought they could use him almost similar. And he very, very well may have been had he be a bit more patient of a runner. Now, granted, like you said, Fonzie, the offensive line wasn't like they were opening gaping holes for him, but there probably could have been something there had you run a little more patient. Had you let something develop, but you get twitchy when for 3 years every time you touch the ball you're getting hit in the face mask.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. And y'all heard what I said too, right?
Yeah.
About him gaining weight too much. Like, I obviously, as a running back, understand you want to gain more weight to take those hits because you're going to get hit every single play.
Yeah, you're
that's
right.
fair. But looking at it, I mean, I remember that twitchiness, that one millisecond, 1-2 seconds. I mean, that was what made Le'Veon so great, is he would read and wait and watch. And with Najee, as I said, I think it was a big thing that he put on maybe a little bit too much weight, and it affected his quickness. So he had to be a little more decisive, and unfortunately it didn't plan out as well, obviously. But still a 1,000-yard running back. 1,000-yard every year. So
he's been the only one that's done it in the last however many years to have four straight 1,000-yard seasons. And everybody's
it's also
like
just
kicking.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, well, say everybody's discrediting it because it's 17 games, so it's only like 58 yards a game.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, but nobody else has run for 1,000 yards in 4 straight years since he came in the league. Nobody else has done it.
Nope.
So there must be something to it. Anyway, what were you going to say, Fawn? Sorry.
It's just his expectations, too, coming out of Alabama being a first-round pick. I mean, I think he only gained 5 or 10 pounds in the NFL. He was behind the best offensive line with a Heisman receiver
Heisman quarterback too. Matt could have won that award
that year. Sure.
that year too.
Yeah. I mean, they were all top 5 in votes. Regardless, it's just that balance helped them so much, I think. There's NFL is a different level. I mean, he was a fast big guy in college. All of a sudden you get up in the NFL and those linebackers are faster than you 90% of the time.
Linebackers are flying, dude. Linebackers nowadays are flying.
Maybe Najee needs to drop about 15, 20 pounds and get back to a little bit lighter weight so it can be a little bit more. Because he was elusive. He could make people, he had a shimmy to his little motion that he had. And he also used to hurdle people. I didn't really see a lot of that in the last 2 years.
Did that some in the NFL. Not as much, obviously, but he did it a little bit. Did it some. But there were times where he had plenty of lane and would stop and juke. And I'm just like, why are you stopping and juking the guys in the middle of the field? Just keep running. And that's what I say about Le'Veon is, he would wait. And then when he'd find the hole, he was north-south. I mean, he was gone. He wasn't, he wasn't river dancing through the hole or whatever. I mean, he would wait. And then you'd see the sliver and he was 5-6 yards upfield.
Yep.
It was
going back to what Parker said, though. Le'Veon Bell actually did lose weight. Najee gained weight. Le'Veon was like 260 coming out of college.
Yes.
He dropped like 30 pounds.
Yes.
Because everyone was dogging us when we took him, being like, I don't remember the names at the time, but there was other running backs on the board.
Big news, since we're just talking about Najee Harris. The Chargers have reached an agreement with him for a 1-year deal, $9.25 million.
Well, that's going to be his life in the NFL now is 1-year deals until he's done.
And isn't he a California guy too, if I'm not mistaken? So, he'll
Antioch,
fit out.
Isn't he from Antioch? Isn't that where he's from?
So, if he could finish his career out in the West Coast, which you said he's 4 years, he may have one more good year left in the tank. I mean, who knows? I mean, Derrick Henry was one of those freaking natures, but running backs don't last very long in the league. So who knows?
Well, I hate that. Now I got another Steelers jersey of a former player.
I don't. That's why I like college so much, because at one time players weren't leaving every other year. Now it's become useless. It's about the same level. Former players, that's what you need. Always people who are always Steelers and whatnot.
Well.
Now
we don't have a quarterback or a running back.
Yeah, because Chargers got rid of Eckler last season, right?
Yeah, he's on the Commanders now.
They brought in Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
They just got rid of Edwards. They just cut Edwards.
Yeah. And Dobbins is a free agent. I don't know if they signed him today or what, but
Najee in San Diego. That's a shame. Playing for hairballs.
LA.
Yeah, LA Chargers.
He's out in La La Land.
Well, that's one of those things. Is what it is.
It'll be interesting to see what we do now. If we go running back in the draft or
we'll go and get Nick Chubb. And now he's done.
Blown his knee out twice.
And then we'll go and draft a guy in the 3rd round who will end up being good. But that's the thing. I just running backs I'm not as picky on anymore, because unless you're getting Saquon or someone, you're just going to rotate there. I mean, you're going to get a flash in a pan guy undrafted every once in a while. Jalen Warren, for example. You can get good ones in the 4th or 3rd round. You're probably getting 3 to 4 good years out of them anyway.
Yeah.
Have your starter. Have a guy that's 1B. Get a vet in there that can eat some carries for you, and you'll be good. If you have the opportunity to take Saquon, take him.
Yeah.
Other than that,
you need a quarterback first, though.
Exactly.
That's really where the money and the thoughts should be focused now. Is quarterback.
And not to take away from Saquon, but like Saquon shining, I think he even admitted it's because of the Eagles line. You know, it's perfect.
And how long before Joe Burrow demands a trade? Can we get in on that? That's happening. In the next 2 to 3 years, he'll want out.
The second year in a row.
If he keeps putting up numbers like that, and they finish 6-10 or 7-10, he's going to want out. Like Myles Garrett until they turn on the TV and he's got a $180 million extension.
Well, you know, Jamar Chase has a contract coming up. He has a contract coming up. We're going to have some decisions to make. And I don't think Joe's going to be happy if they don't bring back
at least Jamar.
I mean, they have to bring back Jamar, but they let Higgins walk.
I think Higgins is going to want too much. Higgins is going to want 25 or 30.
Well, they franchised that.
I think he'd get 35, 40 on the open market.
You think? Man.
I'm not even kidding. Next offseason,
that's why they franchised him twice in a row, I guess. They knew too.
I mean, that position is just going up and up. I mean,
yeah. Quarterback and receiver is going to be where the big money is, and defensive end, and left tackle. Those are the top four that all the money's going to have to go to.
Because if Chase wasn't there, he'd be putting up 1,400 yards easily. I mean, he's legit.
I didn't realize how good a year Chase had until I was looking at stats recently, and I looked at his this past year. I was like, good Lord.
There was that one game with the Ravens where what was it? It was something crazy because I went against
12 for 325.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
The Ravens just had zero defense.
Because I was playing him in fantasy that week against him. I think he had like 68 points in fantasy that week or something.
Incredible.
I think Parker had him.
Who?
Jamar?
Yes. Was it this year? Oh, yeah. No, was it the week he put up like 40, 42?
He had like 12 for 300-something yards, 12 catches for like 350 yards or something.
It was the most
silly,
idiotic stat I've ever looked at. And I literally text Jeff, and I'm like, I don't even care that we're playing each other. Look at this guy. Look at this.
They lost too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they did.
Probably. That sounds about right. That sounds like a very Bengals thing to do.
Yep.
Yeah, no defense.
Yeah.
Suck. They suck.
Oh, yeah, Jay Bake, I'm with you here. Oh, yeah. See, what you don't know about me is I'm the season killer. So if I take you in first round, your season is over. Over. There's been years of data to support this. Last year just being the most recent one. Years of data. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. I took Kelce the first round last year. He had the worst year of his whole career to the playoffs. It doesn't count for fantasy. But he had his lowest catches, lowest yards, lowest touchdowns his whole career the year I took him the first round. Gone. Which in turn meant Mahomes had his worst statistical season till this year. So actually I killed two careers with one pick. Adrian Peterson. I picked him number one. He got suspended a week later for beating his kid for the whole year. Gone for the whole year.
I drafted Melvin Gordon when he was sitting out.
He screwed a lot of people.
And Andrew Luck retired Tuesday after I drafted him.
Oh, I'd have been so
in the same year. And I ended up winning the championship.
That's a way to win it.
Love it.
Hey, I've got a good one for you. So I just saw another one just signed. Former Tennessee QB Josh Dobbs signs with a new NFL team, which would be his 9th.
Yeah.
Signs with the New England Patriots for a 2-year, $8 million. 3.8 guaranteed. Yep.
Former Steeler legend Josh Dobbs.
I like Dobbs. I thought he was good.
He's a good guy to have
the smartest
around,
guy in the room.
as long as you don't have to play him.
I'm about to say, if he don't have to take any meaningful snaps, he's great to have on the roster.
Well, he popped off with the Vikings for a little bit.
About to say, he had his Linsanity moment for about 3 or 4 games for the Vikings, and then the teams got film on him, and you saw that change pretty quick.
Yeah.
Linsanity. I haven't heard that in so long. Oh my god.
Was it the Pasternak?
That's right. Linsanity. You guys too young to remember that?
I remember Jeremy Lin, New York Knicks, man. I know.
7th grade.
That was awesome.
I was like, this guy. I mean, he was just, and then like after a year, it just faded off into existence, and it's like it never happened.
And then he played for like 15 different teams after that.
Yes.
One time he had like blonde spiked hair or something, or it was like a funky, weird haircut.
That's probably when it all started going downhill.
Yeah, that's when he started turning down. Anyway, well, boys, we've been rocking for 90 minutes. I didn't realize, man, we can just go. I just don't really pay attention to the time, and we'd be on here for hours. So, yeah, enjoyed catching up. Enjoyed chopping it up. It's always a pleasure touching some Bama stuff, some Steeler news, some NFL news, postseason news. Next Monday's our tournament show. Our bracket show. The brackets will be out Sunday night, so our show next Monday will be going over the bracket, where the seedings are, and our bracket choices. So anyway, hope everybody in the chat, Jay Bake, K Spray, anybody else join us up here at the top? No. So I appreciate Jay Bake and K Spray hanging out with us tonight and commenting in the chat. It's always fun getting interaction with listeners. So we appreciate that. And
thank you
we're
to
looking
all
forward
the Facebook guys out there too.
Facebook.
I know.
Followers.
I know.
Too.
I will say that anybody who's out there watching on the Facebook page, I know Facebook has changed some of their things. Then any of the older videos will be getting taken down per new policy stuff. So remember all the Facebook viewers to come and watch us on YouTube because they are not taking our videos down as of right now. Things could change next week. So yes, but yeah, come watch our old videos. Come watch our new videos. Hey, we're all here for a good time.
Well, if nobody's got anything to add, Murph, Scott, did we not cover something you wanted to chit chat about?
or NHL trade deadline passed, but
yeah, there was. I think Marchand was the biggest name I saw move.
Mikko Rantanen's by far.
Okay, see, I wasn't familiar with him.
Yeah, but it was a good deadline, fun deadline.
Where did he go?
He went to Dallas, but Colorado. He was on Colorado for a long time. Very good player, top 10 in the league in my opinion. They traded him to Carolina. He's a pending free agent. Carolina got him thinking, oh, this is great. Didn't talk to him about a contract beforehand.
Oops.
He told him he didn't want to sign there long term, so they flipped him. That's kind of the very, very short version of it without all the dramatics in between. But
so
basically just an all-time screw up for Carolina, but Carolina's kind of playing it up like, oh, we may not like bandits.
Yeah, my Yankees tried to do that when Soto signed with the Mets.
Yeah.
They tried to gaslight that, well, we didn't really want to spend that money anyway.
But Marchand is a story because obviously captain of a division rival gets traded to Florida.
Yeah.
Very good.
Now, Marchand was a Bruin, right? Wasn't he on the Bruins?
Yeah,
okay.
16 seasons.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
man,
it'll be
that's crazy. Like watching those long timers get like flipped, like Patrick Kane playing for the Red Wings. I was like, whoa. I mean, he was at Blackhawks for 20 years almost. 3 Stanley Cups.
It'll be like a shot in the arm for him.
And the Flyers missed him by one flipping pick. That draft, I'm still bitter about that. We got the number 2 pick. He went number 1 to Chicago, won 3 Stanley Cups, and beat us in the finals once. And we got James Vanderbeek. Or whatever his name was.
James Van Riemsdyk.
Van Riemsdyk, yeah.
It's close enough.
Which he was a solid player.
For that one. That was
he was
lovely.
a solid player. I'm not saying
still
like
playing, but
Van Riemsdyk was a
never, ever Patrick Kane.
No, but we were 1 pick from Patrick Kane, and it just would have been amazing, and missed him by 1 pick. Just could have gotten the number 1 pick that year. Although Kane and Taves were a pretty good duo, we didn't have anybody like Jonathan Taves running point, so he may not have been as productive for Philly that he was running next to Taves for 15 years.
I don't know. He can carry in his
He's
prime.
pretty
He
damn
can
good.
carry a team.
In prime, he's pretty damn good.
Patrick Kane's
Well, he was American
top
too.
25
So I was,
player ever. Yeah,
I
probably
was-
best American.
I was really
For sure.
psyched because he was American too, and we got some good, finally a good star USA player, and stinking Blackhawks. Dang it!
What's crazy is that we play Boston tomorrow, so it's like,
Oh, nice.
yeah, so he'll be on the other side of the ice.
It's an interesting one, but Boston's in a precarious situation.
They've had a rough season.
Marchand isn't quite what he used to be. He's still a very productive player, but I think they kind of figured they need to do something. They have a lot of bad contracts they can't move. I think treating guys that have dedicated their whole NHL career to your organization like that is kind of.
Who's the guy who's getting
Crappy
close
to
to
treat
the?
Yeah.
Who's the guy who's about to get close to breaking Gretzky's goal record?
Ovi.
Yeah, Alex Ovechkin.
Ovechkin.
And is he how old?
Handsomest
is he?
man in sports.
He's 39,
And y'all gonna have to help me on
38,
this.
39.
Like, how long? What's the longevity for hockey players? How long did the I would
I
say
don't know
the
what
average.
the average career is. Jaromir Jagr played till he was like 53.
That's insane.
Yeah, he was
That
with
is
Panthers
insane.
in 2020. What was it?
I mean, he was played alongside Lemieux in his prime. That's how old Jagr is.
Yeah, Yager's last year in the league was when he was 45.
That was
like
like
8
6 years ago.
But he's still
8 years
playing.
ago.
He's playing his final year on the Czech team he owns this year, and he's 53 or 54.
Finally going to retire. Hey, prime Jagr was a problem.
He was.
For you young kids that don't know, prime Jaromir Jagr was a problem. And Lemieux setting him up didn't hurt.
Mm.
Man,
his
Penguins
prime
were
was like
stacked.
15 years.
Penguins were stacked back then, man.
Yes, they were.
I think Kevin Stevens was in that mix back then, wasn't he?
Kevin Stevens. Shit,
Man.
there's so many.
There were some good Penguins players back in the day.
Oh man,
Even the Samuelsons donned the black and gold of the.
We had Paul Coffey towards the end of his
I
career.
do remember Paul Cott. Yeah,
We had
the
Phil
Flyers
Bourque,
had him for a couple years.
which is like a Pittsburgh legend. Wasn't that good? Barrasso was our goalie.
Is he the one whose wife shot him in the leg
Yeah,
or stabbed him in the leg or something,
yeah.
or
He
that's-
goes,
or shot himself? Shot himself. Or something happened.
Joey
he hurt him.
Mullen. Larry Murphy. Christ, that
Larry
team was
Murphy, the ageless one. Did
You
you
had
had
Mark-
Ulf or
young
Shell
Mark Recchi?
Samuelson?
bad. Yeah,
Yes, you did have a young Mark Recchi. Then you had an old Leclerc later in his days, but still.
and an old Trottier. That
Which
team was
Samuelson brother did you have? Ulf or Shell?
Ulf.
Ulf. See, we had Shell. That lost. That guy sucked.
Ulf wasn't good either, but he'd go assault people.
Yeah,
Like, that
he
was
was
a
the goon.
That
different-
just
Gooned
sounds
him
like
up.
somebody you just don't want to even mess with
Yeah.
in an alleyway or in
Was he
just general
Swedish?
anyway.
Samuelson, when he's from Sweden,
Yeah, they're Swedes.
man.
Ulf.
Ulf was
Thornton
a.
still playing?
Who?
Joe Thornton. He was on
No.
the
I think he finally retired. My
Okay.
gosh, I think
He
finally
retired a few years ago.
a couple years ago. Yeah,
I remember him.
I remember that guy got drafted by the Bruins. Man, he looked like a surfer kid.
He was a corpse when he retired, man. I don't know.
Man, he played for like 30
Barely
years.
Get up the ice,
Had
yeah.
a full
30
gray
years.
beard. It was-
I mean, he was like 18 when he got drafted, and then he played forever. Ever.
24 years, I believe. 24
God.
seasons, something like
Put
that.
your body through NHL seasons for 24 years. That's you got man.
I was talking to my brother about this. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but this past week we were just talking about obviously the Penguins era is kind of over. It's been over. I've fully accepted that. I'm very into the Penguins. I'm just looking forward to the next step. But we were just talking about Crosby and Malkin and what it looks like. Like how long are these guys going to play? I think Malkin's done next year, but Crosby, how long he's going to play? And just made me think of Joe Thornton, who his best days were behind him probably 5 years before he retired.
Yeah.
And I hope Sid, being as great as he is, he's going to finish a top 5 player all time.
Agreed.
I'd rather him just retire at like 40, have one last hoorah, ride into the sunset on a good note. You know, I feel bad for the guys that play till they're 43 or 44 and just aren't the same. Feel like it.
That's tough watching that.
Just doesn't feel right, you know?
Anybody athlete playing into their 40s, it's usually tough to watch unless it's NASCAR or golf or something. But if you're talking
Tom Brady,
you know, yeah, there's usually an
the
outlier.
one time in Tom Brady.
You can go outliers really anywhere, but yeah, it's tough watching them play after 40. Now, let me ask you this, Fonz, because you know Sid's won multiple cups in Pittsburgh. You know, they don't move him to a contender at the deadline of his last year, do they?
No, not unless he wants to. I mean, his contract includes a full no move clause. He's fully
Ray
invested
Bork
in the
asked
Penguins.
for that, right? When the Bruins moved him to the Avalanche that year and they won the cup. I mean, that was like we're rebuilding, we're going to do you a favor type deal, and I think Bork had to sign off on it.
Yeah, and he only has one cup, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and that was it.
I don't think he won one to that point. Yeah.
No, he had none. That's what I was saying. Like, because Sid's won 3,
different.
It's a different situation.
Yeah, I mean, he's accomplished everything there is. I think it's important to him.
Yeah, to
be around and support the next stage.
Yeah.
Help that transition along.
Well, that's what Lemieux did when he passed him the torch 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, he had him live in his house.
Yeah.
Like when he first got drafted, I remember that he was living in Lemieux's house. I'm like, that doesn't suck. Number 1 pick, you get to live in Mario Lemieux's house for a while. It's probably not a terrible gig.
No, not at all.
So Sid's 37 years old now. You think he's got three years left in him? What do you think?
I think he does.
Well, he just signed a 2-year contract. I mean, he's still playing at a super high level.
He moves at a different speed than Malkin. Malkin looks old.
Malkin's slowed down. He still has his step sometimes, but he's noticed he's not the same.
He's looked 50 since he was a rookie, so I can't go by Malkin's looks, but yeah, he's moving a little bit, about a step slower. You know, I mean, you can tell he's on the down. But not Malkin, but Sid's moving. I mean, he's playing top level hockey. I mean, I haven't noticed.
He was in the Four Nations tournament. You know.
Yeah, I mean he's an intricate part of it.
He's probably still a top 10 player. Granted,
I would
probably on the fringe, but
yeah,
still a top 10 player. I mean, he'll play as long as he wants. I think he can play 5 more years. I think he'll probably.
He doesn't have a great squad around him right now. So I mean,
that's being very nice.
Being very nice, he goes. So I mean, the fact he's putting up the numbers he is on the not so great Penguins team, it's tough for guys to stay engaged, I think. But I think Sid's a different breed.
Yes.
I've enjoyed watching his career. It's been a pleasure watching him play hockey for 20 years.
One of the best.
20 years. Yeah. Fantastic. You haven't heard nothing from him off the ice either. Sometimes I'm like, what's the catch? Like when you retire, is going to come out that you're a rapist pig, like the Epstein list? Is it going to be like a Crosby list or something?
Well, there's
like Justin Tucker.
He's chasing his own Gretzky record. Obviously, Ovechkin's overshadowing it because
is that goal? What's he chasing? What's Sid chasing?
But, most point per game seasons, most consecutive point per game seasons. That he's tied with Gretzky right now at 19. He has, I think, 68 and 64. Yeah, 68 and 64 right now. So,
dude, if you can be tied with Gretzky in any stat, that's a good.
Have the most point per game seasons ever.
Good job. So. I mean, y'all go look at some of Gretzky's numbers from those early Edmonton years. They're not even real. Are these combined? Are these combined seasons? Like he had 286 points that year, or 240 points that one year, or something. You're like, they played 80 games. How did he have 200 points? But it was just like 80 goals, 140 assists. You're like, my gosh.
I was like right before the league got super competitive. Not to diminish it, no one's gonna touch that
ever.
Doing that anyways, insane. But He's funny because he put up these disgusting stats, and he carried it into the 90s, but he slowly, if you look at his career, you kind of see like a drop off, and it's just like, the sport actually improved.
Yeah. Well, that Edmonton team was loaded.
Yeah, they were stacked.
They had like 9 Hall of Famers in that team.
He had a lot of help, but
so he had a lot of space that he was skating freely in back then.
Oh yeah.
Anyway. All right, gentlemen. I love the hockey talk, man. We should have gotten that earlier. We should have hit that earlier. But yes, good show, boys. Hour and 45 minutes. Almost went 2 hours tonight. That's pretty impressive. Everybody's wives are happy with that.
Yeah. Mine already texted me. So.
Hey, we're talking hockey, okay? When it gets hockey talk, that's it.
No, she hears this shit every night, and it's
We'll do it, J-Bake. We'll get that bracket out next week. We'll post the link and stuff, so we'll have it all set up.
Parker,
anyway,
find
boys,
a hockey team so you can join the convo.
That's right.
What?
Find a hockey team so you can join us.
Yes,
that's right.
Yes, I only know certain players. That's the only thing I have to. I'm doing my best to learn in the history of hockey.
Here's the trick. Here's the trick, Parker. This worked for me for soccer and hockey. You got to get a video game. Get like NHL 24, NHL 25 when it comes out, and play it some. That's the best way to learn players. That's how I did with soccer and with hockey. I played the fart out of those 2 video games.
And then once playoff starts, that's where prime hockey, like,
that's
will not
when you really should start watching.
Whatsoever. Yeah.
Yes. Playoff hockey is a different, you can't even describe it. You just got to watch it. Playoff hockey is just different, man.
It's like October baseball. Like, it's awesome.
Like every friggin' series, like overtime, 7 games. I mean, it's intense. I love playoff hockey, man. Playoff hockey is a sport of its own. Anyway, so gentlemen, enjoyed it. Always good chopping up with you guys. Always good hanging out with you guys. So we'll see y'all next Monday for the bracket show. Roll Tide, gentlemen.
Roll Tide.